Be wary of dragon. It's a fair statement. Now, if we look around, we do see we're in something of a ruined area, but the architecture may look a bit familiar. And again, this is something that I'm doing this in a specific order to get a specific cutscene, but a lot of this, keep in mind that a lot of this would look very familiar if we had finished the entirety of the Darkroot Garden. In fact, this bridge would probably look very, very familiar to you. We come up to this point and we get sort of this view of the walls of Orlando. So that's kind of the pinprick, or like the pinpoint that tells you, okay, we are still in Lordran around here. But everything else looks sort of strange and familiar. And you would recognize this as an area of the Darkroot Garden if you were playing, or if you had played through that area. We do come up and find these guys. These strange stick-like creatures. They do appear to be made of wood. And we are in the Royal Wood here. In fact, you wouldn't be wrong if you happened to think that they reminded you a lot of the creatures in the Darkroot Garden. Or of like the tree creatures in the Darkroot Garden. And as you move around this area, you're going to see a lot of things like that. A lot of things like that. Take out the little guy first, because you gotta watch out for that big guy. These guys look pretty familiar too, now that I think about it. Also don't stagger very easily. But luckily, our Zweihander is going to just save our asses here. They drop Twinkling Titanite, which is really fucking good, because Twinkling Titanite, this is like, I think, one of the first really reliable farmable areas for it. You having some trouble, buddy? Some slight pathing issues? Oh well. But yeah, if you come to this area without good weapons, it will chew you up and spit you out. It's very much meant to be an endgame type area, which is good. Whoa! I like it when DLC does that sort of thing. It's very much meant for people who beat the game. Uh-oh. Forgot that was a double strike. Oh god. Wow, I got really lucky that that didn't hit me. Oh, he turned his back. I have not actually seen him do that, huh? Oh god. I rolled forward instead of backwards. I did a bad thing. Oh, and he used his explosion attack after I died. That's kind of unfortunate. That one's always a fun one to discover. The enemies in this area are very, again, very aggressive, so being able to take them out one at a time is, or like being able to take them out before they swarm you is very important. Let's try this again. So that was part of the reason why I went with the fully upgraded Zweihander. The other part of the reason will become apparent once we get to the next boss. These guys alone aren't actually all that bad. Like, they do a lot of damage for an enemy that, you know, looks like this. But that's kind of to be expected late game. They're really there more to distract you from the big guys, who are really the dangerous ones. Luckily, like most big little enemy pairs in the game, you can kind of siphon off the little guy and kill him before the big guy becomes a threat. Uh-oh. I'm not sure why that didn't hit me. There we go. So yeah, those guys are sort of... At first you think that they're a very stereotypical large enemy in Dark Souls, where you dodge their first attack and then you punish that and then they stun and then yada yada. But these guys actually have a little foible to that, where Instead, they will sometimes blow up when you try to go in the... Or, like, you know, rip their axe out of the ground and blow it up when you try to go for the punish. And as something that's a DLC area, I think that it's really good that they try to take the combat to its, like, logical conclusion. You really have a lot of ingrained skills at this point and, you know, behaviors that you've probably learned over the entire game. And a lot of these enemies are kind of meant to challenge that. Weakness fleeing. We do come up to this cliff and find, again, very, very familiar looking columnar architecture here and what seems to be almost an arena of sorts. And that's going to be our next goal, to make our way over there. But unfortunately, there's a bit of a cliff in the way right now, so have to work our way over, I suppose. We do find a cliff, and you know, you could fall down there if you were so inclined. Wouldn't recommend it, but hey. We do get the Guardian gloves, which are the gloves of the giant stone boys. Let's take a look at those. Probably up here, yeah. Gauntlets of the Stone Knights, guardians of the Forest Sanctuary. The Stone Knights are golems, animated by magic, and their enchanted gauntlets are oppressively heavy. One thing that you should keep in mind is that basically everything we're fighting here is in some way touched by, or even entirely animated by magic. As we explore Oolacile, the very first things that we kind of come up to here are magical creations of Oolacile itself. You know, the Guardians are there to guard these areas, this whatever the hell it is. And, oh god. Hitboxes! And the Gardeners seem to literally just be Gardeners for this, ooh. Nice, more Twinkling Titanite. For this garden sanctuary here. And they're very, you know, even the Sanctuary Guardian itself, the Chimera, was a magical creation. So everything we fought here was something created by the magic of Oolacile. I'm getting myself into a very difficult encounter here, so let's see how this goes. Took him out. Those guys have a great animation where they fall over. Really like that. Okay, good. I've only aggroed one Stone Knight. That's very important here. Uh-oh. Woohoo! That was a tough game of chicken right there. Bloom and Purple Moss Clump. Yeah, the fact that they drop the exact same items as the moss creatures in Darkroot Garden is sort of another tip-off that you're in the exact same area here. By this point, you will have realized that this is the Darkroot Garden itself. So, it turns out that Darkroot was the ancient land of Oolacile, except that it's now sort of decayed into unrecognizability, you know? Very glad I didn't aggro both of those Stone Guardians there. This little pond here is also a pretty notorious location. Ow. Oh, no thanks. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Oof. Yeah, these guys sort of have... Oh, god. Timing's meant to punish people who are playing Dark Souls in the original Dark Souls way. You know, even if you're used to abusing iframes. Oh, god. Ow. Yeah, not only does that hit you like a truck, that leaves you way open. They're a very tough fight, basically, and that's good. That's the way it should be. I believe that is just a flower. Yeah. Yep, this is the corner. Okay, I lost my bearings for a second there. Know where I'm at now. You can actually follow these flowers to avoid the majority of the combat. Sort of a throwback to the original Darkroot Garden. You won't avoid all of it, though, because there are still enemies on this path. It's just... you'll avoid the big stuff in the center. I do think a lot of the solid design that was in the original game, like in the early parts of the original game, kind of comes back here. You know, where a lot of the later areas in the game start to feel very unfocused. The DLC to this game feels like it is a very appropriate finish to this game, because this was the last content released for Dark Souls. You gonna come? Yeah, there we go. Oops. And I think that this overall comes into, like, you know, the DLC overall is very, very solid. I enjoy it a lot. I think it's a great capstone to this game. And while I'm not huge on Dark Souls 2, I think a lot of the lessons where they did really improve things in Dark Souls 2 first came about over here in this one. In general, it's a good idea to be rolling towards this guy, although you have to be very careful when you do that. Get some Guardian leggings for our troubles. You sort of slowly accrue the entire Guardian set in this part. Let's see. Guardian leggings. Oops, I didn't want to equip those. Just look at them. Leggings of the Stone Guardians, Guardians of the Forest Sanctuary. Golems animated by magic, oppressively heavy. You know, continues to tell you these things are very, very not human, you know? Now, I believe that way is progress, so let's check out this corner. Oh yeah, if you're not careful when you, like, go into this area, you can very easily get overwhelmed by an ambush. Uh-oh. Nope. You can kind of see that these guys are not meant to be, you know, powerful fighters, but if you don't respect them, they will get the better of you, you know? You gotta be careful around them. There is one other enemy in this area that has sort of something of a reputation. I don't remember where they start appearing. Anything else out and about here? Although I actually might be thinking about the game proper now that I think about it. I'm not sure. Guess we'll find out together. Yes, these... just this over here. There does look like there's a ledge over there, but no way we can really get to it. We do come up to a bridge, so we're making pretty good progress here. I think that there's nothing upstairs, but I am just going to check that real quick. This was the area that we came in originally, along with that pond right over there that I mentioned, and I believe that's across the way. Oh, did we luck into an item? Nice. Glad I checked. Nope, that's a fucking flower. Son of a bitch. You got me, game. Sort of an interesting use there of, you know, the player has been trained to see glowing lights as items, so you can lure the player in like that. At least it wasn't an ambush. Alright, let's make our way to that bridge. And whatever's on the other side. Hi. That's a fun little throwback to the start of the game. It's been so long since you've seen something like that that, you know, you're really not expecting something like that to come across, but oh, that's terrifying. Their name is Kalameet. Be wary of up, you say. There's definitely something coming. There's also a crystal lizard that you can chase down if you're feeling so inclined. But it's very likely to kind of get you killed, because he sort of runs straight over to this giant glowing pit. This is a really good reveal right here, because you hear the stomping from above, and you kind of meant to rush over this way to try to find a more advantageous spot. And, like, while the garden has been very measured, very, you know, it's something's up with it, but there hasn't been much. They have really hidden the giant holes from you quite well. And as you move forward in this area, it's gonna really start falling apart a lot more. Classic. And there's also gonna be these sort of strange bits of goopy corruption. We also see this goof with fucking hedge clippers. That's adorable. You definitely get the impression these guys aren't fighters, even though as a game design thing, it's a fairly difficult, you know, they're fairly challenging enemies, because if you're not prepared for them, they'll fuck you up. And this is one of the few times that I actually will try jumping, so pray for me. It's not a hard jump, but platforming in Dark Souls is never a sure thing. Oh god, yeah. Yeah. That almost got me. And there it did. I hate jumping in Dark Souls. It's bad. Alright, now we're gonna run from everything, because we went through the area once. Just to prove I could do it. This is a run that you will probably get used to the first time you play this game. This area is very challenging for a very large number of reasons. I should have tilted the camera up there so I knew when to hit B. My bad. There are actually several corpse runs here that you get, like, that you'll get used to, because the area twists around itself. Very similar to the Painted World in that way, where like everything is they try to design it very, very tightly. So we've aggroed a bunch of enemies at this point, but they'll stop chasing us if we get far enough away, right? And Kalameet will not land on the bridge the second time, much like the Wyvern does not. So even if we're being chased by literally everybody, it's not actually that hard to run through. The area is kind of big and wide and designed to be that way, like, damn. Double damn. I can't believe I missed that. Alright, hope you're ready to try jumping again. God, that just distant rumble. As you approach these, you can definitely sort of hear the foreboding feeling coming off of them. Just distant thunder. It's, oh god, it's such a great effect. I'm gonna leave that till I've gone through most of the rest of this. Yeah, you can kind of see, like, there is nothing natural about this. About these holes in the land. They are very much, you know, just everything being consumed almost. And it's such a creepy effect, god. There we go. Elizabeth's Mushroom. Greatly restores HP for a limited duration. Large medicinal mushroom of Elizabeth, keeper of the sanctuary. Eating this mushroom invigorates the flesh and greatly restores HP for a limited duration. Its dramatic effect can make the difference between a warrior's life and death. Another healing item, new to the DLC. Very, very good, but only exists in very limited quantities. God, you have to be very careful here, because a lot of these holes kind of just blend in with everything, you know? Let's make our way over this way. We find the source of the footsteps from above. Those guys will actually, like, fall down on you if you stand in that one, if you stand on that little narrow walkway too long. And fighting them there, I do not advise. Good, I wasn't sure that was going to hit him. Gonna give that guy a wide berth. Actually, I'm gonna fight him because the other one is very far away right now. If I wasn't blocking, I probably would have died there. But yeah, for big guys, these guys are very, very aggressive. And you kind of have to, like, balance your own aggressiveness against that, you know? Like, going in for an attack like that can and will get you killed. As you go along, they do start to fall into a more predictable attack pattern, though, so you can definitely take advantage of that. No drops, nope. And of course, they ragdoll like chumps, and it's great, and I love it. I know there's an item out here somewhere. Is that it? Or is that another flower? Just meant to fuck with me. Nope, that's a body. You get their armor. I believe it says the same thing. Very fucking heavy. There we go. Something else out here. Goff's great arrow, I believe. Great arrow used by Hawkeye Goff, one of Lord Gwyn's 4 knights, for dragon slaying. Requires great bow. Goff personally crafts each stone tip and rafts the shaft tightly with tree bark. So this is you sort of start to wonder about that a little bit. And because you can see items down there, you know that we'll be down there at some point. And that'll be a fun time. I've never beaten that boss. But he's using some pretty big heavy-duty materials there. We don't really know very much about the 4 knights. I mean, we killed Ornstein, right? But we haven't really seen much of the others. Goff, Kieran, and Artorias. We'll be seeing more of them as we come along. Before this DLC, though, there was really very little information in the games about them. Alright, let's try this again. There we go. It honestly, like, it's not a tough jump. The biggest worry is just, you know, jumping too late and sliding into the abyss. Jumping in the later games absolutely works way, way better than in this one. Jumping in this one was a mistake. Pop our way around here, and let's make progress. Yeah, there's a few different ways we can go here. This area itself is quite large, even as you start getting to this sort of gouged out part. Uh-oh. I think I hear some snippers clippers. I am glad he missed. Oops, I kicked instead of slashing. Damn, just a moss clump. They do have another drop that I really, really want. It's a bit rare, though. Come over to here, and we realize that we kind of have made it up to this cliff. Quite nice. Making our way over to that. I really like the signposting in this area, in the sense that it's very easy to get lost in this giant wooded area here, but because they built that tall, crumbling structure that kind of stands apart from everything else in the area, you always kind of know, okay, that's where I want to be going, and you can always use it kind of no matter where you are to orient yourself in the area, and I think that's really, really strong design. Make our way over. I will note that the sky, it's kind of hard to tell if that, you know, like, what the deal with that lightning is. It's not really raining, and it's a bit hard to tell if that's, you know, where that's coming from or not. Make our way out over here, kind of into a little clearing. We are getting pretty close. course, there are a lot of stone knights around. Oh, that was a lizard. Oops, I thought that was an item. I think we can actually kind of sneak our way around here, because we did see an item on the other side of this building. Soul of a Proud Knight. If you're feeling particularly cowardly, it's pretty good to just pop over into this way and activate this elevator.